All right, we're going to be starting in lesson 5.1 and 5.2, and what we're going to be working on is we're going to solve one-step inequalities. We have worked on one-step equations. Now we're going to be working on one-step inequalities. Okay, so to start off, an inequality is simply any sentence or kind of like an equation that contains an inequality symbol. So you have the four inequality symbols: less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Just keep in mind that this guy right here is, if it looks like an L, that would be less. Okay. The next vocabulary word we have is called set builder notation, and this is how we're going to be representing all of our answers. Now, this is probably something that they did not teach you in junior high, so it'll be a little bit new for you. And it's a very concise way of writing all of our answers, or solution set. So just keep in mind, solution set is just simply an answer. Okay. So an example here. You in the past, let's zoom in a little bit, you in the past would have probably had something like x is less than 17 being your answer. Okay, so when we're writing a set builder notation, we're going to put a line in front of that, we're going to put an x, and we're going to put set brackets. Okay, so now, again, a concise way of writing it, line, variable that we're just using, and then do your set brackets. Okay, and we read this: all values of x such that x is less than 17. Okay, so that's how we would read this answer. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at a couple examples of one-step inequalities. Okay, now on this one they've asked us to solve and then to graph it on a number line. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add the 14 over to the other side to get that d by itself. So we're going to have d is greater than or equal to -5. Now again, to finish off that set builder, we're going to put a line, d, and then do your set brackets. And again, just do them the best you can. All right, so now we're going to graph on a number line. All right, -5. I always just kind of put that in the middle when I'm making my own number line, and then I just kind of put a value in on each side, and that's really pretty good for right now. Okay, so when we're graphing this, d is greater than or equal. If it has an equal sign, that's going to be a closed-in circle. Okay, and then just kind of make an arrow. It tells you which way to point, which way to shade your line. So we're going to shade this way and fill kind of everything in here the best we can. It's not the most prettiest, but you get the idea. All right, so again, kind of make an arrow here, and that tells you which way to shade. Okay, now when we are writing set builder notation, just keep in mind the variable is going to have to be out front. It also needs to be out front to graph. Okay, now real quick, I want to kind of review with you. If you have a symbol less than or greater than, that means that you should have an open circle on your number line. Okay, by open circle I mean, and actually open circle looks like an O. Okay, this means that it is part of the solution. Okay, your other option here is to have less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, and that should be a closed circle when you graph. And closed, I mean it's filled in. Okay, and this means, oh, come back up here, guys. Sorry, I made a mistake. Come back up here. It's not, open circle means not part of the solution. I forgot the word not, so put that in there. So it's going to be not part of the solution. Okay, closed circle. So this guy right here means part of the solution. Okay. All right, so let's kind of go back over here and look at our example real quick. So if I'm looking at this guy right here, because of this guy, because I'm going to erase, oh, well, let me, because this guy was greater than or equal to, it's closed in, which means all of my answers from here over technically work. So -5, -4, 100, 200, 1,000, 1,000,000, anything on this side is an answer. Anything on this side is not an answer. So if I tried to tell you -6 was the solution to this problem, you would say, nope, that's not going to work. Okay? All right. So let's take a look here. So this is just like I said, a very basic one. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And so P is going to be less than 10. Okay? All right, so then we're going to do our graph here. And we've got 10, 11, got 9 on this side. All right, so since this guy is less than, I'm going to have an open circle, and then I'm just going to go whatever direction this guy is pointing. So this guy is telling me to shade this direction, so I'm going to shade everything in going this way. Okay, and now let's finish off. We need to have our set builder notation. So we're going to put line P, set bracket, okay? So we're expecting set builder notation on everything you solve, open circle, shaded this direction. Again, this stuff right here would be answers, this stuff not an answer. Now, if it's an open circle, like I said, open circle is not part of the solution. So in this case, 10 would not work either. So it's everything past 10 or less than 10. So real quick, if I go back over here and look at number 1, okay, we already kind of talked about that this wasn't an answer. This guy, -5, is an answer, and the -4 stuff is an answer, okay? So just keep in mind that there is a big difference between a closed and an open circle. All right, now word problem, okay? So we're going to define a variable, and just like we were taught back in chapter 2, when we have a problem like this, we're just going to say like x equals a number. Okay, and we're just going to kind of read what it says and write it down. So 3 more than a number. So 3 plus x. All right, and then kind of pay attention to this. Is less than. You're usually still going to see the word is to let you know that that means you're going to put an inequality in there. So it's not always there, but most of the time it is. So is less than, so put like the L, twice the number, so 2x. Okay, so when I solve this, I'm going to subtract x over to the other side and get 3 is less than x. Now, like I said, to write it in set builder notation, you are going to have to flip this around. And when you flip it, the whole thing gets flipped and goes the other direction. So instead of 3 less than x, it's going to become x greater than 3, line x, and set bracket. So all values of x such that x is greater than or equal to 3. All right, next problem here. We're going to define a variable, write inequality, solve, and then we're going to be writing our complete sentences again. Okay, so Sarah has $65 to spend at the mall. She bought a t-shirt for $18 and a belt for $14. If she wants a pair of jeans, how much money can she spend? Okay, so we're going to start by... All right, so we're going to be working on the back side here, and we're going to be working primarily on multiplication and division. And on this particular problem, I'm going to start by multiplying both sides by -6. So those will cancel. I've got n, I've got a -48. Now, I don't know if you remember, but there's a really special rule with this. Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, you've got to flip your inequality symbol. So my inequality symbol is going to go from less than to greater than. So my final answer here will be all values of n such that n is greater than or equal to -48. Now it doesn't ask us to graph on this side, so we're just going to come up with the answer. So again, anytime you multiply or divide by negative, flip the sign. Okay. All right, so now number 6. Oops, where are we at? There we are. Number 6, okay. So on this guy, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, get the t by itself, so I'm going to multiply by 8/3 on both sides. Okay. Now, if you need to put the 5 over 1, do that. Remember, this will all cancel. So I have t. Now, my inequality symbol, this guy right here, will not flip because I'm multiplying by a positive. Okay, I don't care if my answer is negative. I care, am I multiplying by a positive or a negative? And since I'm multiplying by a positive, I'm going to leave my sign alone. And I'm just going to call this -40 over 3. Again, I'm just multiplying straight across. Finish it up with my set builder. And I'm done. All right, looking at number 7. Okay, so on this guy, I'm going to be dividing by -12. Again, if I multiply or divide by a negative, my inequality sign flips. Now, you are going to have to reduce fractions. Okay, so in this case, 3 comes out of both. So I'll get -5/4. Again, finish up your line H for your set builder notation. Okay. And number 8, where are you at, number 8? Okay, so now again, keep in mind I'm dividing by 6. So that cancels. Okay, I have a -7. My inequality sign should stay the same direction because I divided by a positive. Now the problem here is I am going to have to rewrite this because my variable has to be out front. So when I rewrite it, it becomes r is less than -7 when you rewrite with the variable out front. Again, line R for your set builder notation and put your set brackets around there. Okay. All right, so now the rule of thumb here is when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. Okay. All right, and number 9 is our last example we're going to be looking at. Again, we're going to define variables, we're going to write inequality, we're going to solve, and we're going to be writing a sentence. Okay. And I'm not going to lie, I don't know how to say this mountain here, but Mount Kinabalu is in Malaysia, has the greatest concentration of wild orchids on Earth. It contains more than 750 species, or about 1/4 of all orchid species in Malaysia. How many orchid species are there in Malaysia? All right, so first off, we're going to define our variable. Again, the question is how many orchid species are there? Okay. So I'm going to put S. I don't want to use O because a lot of times it looks like 0. So number of orchid species. Okay. All right. And so as I'm doing this, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here, a little bit more. So I've got 750 total species, or actually it contains more than 750, which is about 1/4 of all of the species in Malaysia. Okay, so if I'm thinking about those good old math terms, 1/4 of means we're going to multiply. Okay, so when I write my inequality here, I'm going to have 1/4 of all the species. I know that there contains more than 750. So 750, and if I have more than 750, alligator's going to eat the bigger number. Well, 750 can't be my bigger number because I have more than 750, okay? And more than would not imply any equal there. So now solve it. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 4, okay? And then I'm going to have S multiplying by a positive, so it's greater than, and 750 times 4 would be 3,000. Okay, so again, when you write your sentence, you've got to take into account the words like more than. Okay, so there are more than 3,000 orchid species in Malaysia. Okay. All right, so again, define my variable, wrote an inequality, solved it, and then wrote my sentence, okay? And keep in mind that I'm going to be looking for special wording like more than or however it applies to the problem. Now, I want you to go into your textbook on page 705, okay? For those of you who have the iBook, okay, it's going to be on page 705, and I want you to fill in, they have words that go along with each of these so that we can kind of start talking about all these words when we come back together. Now, if you are in the textbook, the hard book, you will need to go to lesson 5.1, and it should be somewhere in a nice, pretty box somewhere in 5.1. Okay, so finish that up, and then that will conclude your stuff for this weekend.